I have never been an aficionado of the Constitution. The reason for it, it's outdated. And what's happening now is we're coming into a new realism, a hyper-realism, where the states become more important. The devolution of power from the federal government, I told you, it's happening very quickly.
Well, I'm glad you feel the storm come, but quite frankly, the storm was over a year ago when we brought in Trump. What you're seeing now is basically the aftermath of a major storm that had occurred, with no one really understanding how Trump came in and how we and the intelligence community and others had helped to bring Trump to the forefront. The storm is over. Hillary is over, Mueller is over, the FBI is over, the CIA, certain elements are over. That's why Pompeo, who was #1 at West Point, was put in. We have several military generals in charge. We have every congressional district. We have a military installation or project. So basically, we're not worried about any Democrats or congressmen. If you look at the map of the United States, we in the intelligence and military community are basically in charge. And Trump is on top of that. And I'm not upset about it, and I'll tell you why.
Don't think Trump just did this on his own. He was recruited by patriots in U.S. intelligence agencies, for a fact. Trump was recruited by the U.S. Army. That's a big secret, but you deserve to know what the Democrats already know. You deserve to understand what's really going on. We were being held underwater. The country was being drowned. That's over.
I have never been an aficionado of the Constitution. The reason for it, it's outdated.
Richard Nixon and Henry Kissinger launched a preemptive strike against Salvador Allende. They decided to stop him from being inaugurated as president of Chile. He hadn't even set foot in the Moneda Palace when Nixon and Kissinger just simply decided to change the fate of Chile. Nixon instructed the CIA to make the Chilean economy scream, to use as many men as possible. The first plan was to actually keep Allende from being inaugurated as president, and then when that plan failed after the assassination of the Chilean commander-in-chief that the United States was behind, General Rene Schneider, Kissinger then went to Nixon and said, Allende's now president. The State Department thinks we can coexist with him, but I want you to make sure you tell everybody in the U.S. government that we cannot let him succeed.
I have never been an aficionado of the Constitution. The reason for it, it's outdated.
A lot of people that have been listening to the show for 20 years, they go, Alex, in the last segment, you just called for the president, if need be, to use the armed services to arrest the leaders of a criminal cabal openly plotting the president's assassination, the overthrow of our electoral process, the takeover of our elections, and a one-party system to be formed where all political dissent against the leftist, globalist Soros program is outlawed.
I have never been an aficionado of the Constitution.
Surkov turned Russian politics into a bewildering, constantly changing piece of theatre. He used Kremlin money to sponsor all kinds of groups, from mass anti-fascist youth organisations to the very opposite, neo-Nazi skinheads. And liberal human rights groups who then attacked the government. Surkov even backed whole political parties that were opposed to President Putin. But the key thing was that Surkov then let it be known that this was what he was doing, which meant that no one was sure what was real or what was fake in modern Russia. As one journalist put it, it's a strategy of power that keeps any opposition constantly confused. A ceaseless shape-shifting that is unstoppable because it is indefinable.
I have never been an aficionado of the Constitution.
And Alex Jones has no solution except fly around first class and tell you to buy his products. Remember, according to Jones, the enemy is bearded men who think they're women, the gay mafia and pedophiles. And of course, his love of Obama and Hillary running the whole show from their witchcraft bunker. But where in Jones's fear porn presentations is Israeli total cyber domination. When you run technology, when you hear what everyone's saying, you rule. This is a disaster. That's real fear porn. That's the main show. Where is talk of Israel teaming up with Russia and China on the Belt and Road? Where is Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, who stole $5 trillion off the US taxpayer in 2008? Jones doesn't talk about it. Where is the talk on Rothschild, the Royal Institute on International Affairs, the CFR, Trilateral Commission, the Federal Reserve, G. Edward Griffin, Ezra Pound, Useless Mullins, Bill Cooper, UN Smart Cities Program. Jones has 50 staff. They all forget? This quote from the UN's review sums it all up. It's about the former Russian oligarch Boris Berezovsky. And it's about how Putin's handlers decided they would handle Russian politics. Quote, consider the fascinating perspective of the recently deceased Boris Berezovsky, once the most powerful of the Russian oligarchs and the puppet master behind Boris Yeltsin during the late 1990s. After looting billions in national wealth and elevating Vladimir Putin to the presidency, he overreached himself and eventually went into exile. According to the New York Times, he had planned to transform Russia into a fake two-party state. Ding ding, ringing any bells? One social democratic and one neoconservative, in which heated public battles would be fought on divisive, symbolic issues, while behind the scenes, both parties would actually be controlled by the same ruling elites. With the citizenry thus permanently divided and popular dissatisfaction safely channeled into meaningless dead ends, Russia's rulers could maintain unlimited wealth and power for themselves with little threat to their reign. Given America's history over the last couple of decades, perhaps we can guess where Berezovsky got his idea for such a clever political scheme. End quote. So while Alex Jones tells you pornography and masturbation classes and pedophiles and blah 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 bearded men with tresses are the enemy, we know who funds them. We know the Tavistock Institute, Royal Institute for International Affairs, but above all the predatory international financial banking class. These are the enemy. What, do you think Obama and Hillary are running this from their little bunker? So while we fight the evil communist, we avoid confronting directly the grand master of all these movements, the predatory international banking and financial class. And I put to you, though I can't say 100%, but I put to you, all we have in good old Hillary and the Don is the right and the left arm of Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, sending us down paths, dead ends, and stupid debates instead of getting to the heart of the matter. We should all know this by now. The truth is rapidly getting buried under this garbage, and with the ADL and other organisations very keen to see channels banned off the internet completely, and soon there'll be DNS banning, meaning you won't even be able to find your favourite website. Alex Jones has absolutely no solution. Despite the enormous wealth he generates, between $30 and $50 million a year generated income, flying first class, eating himself to death, and claiming himself to be the tip of the spear, Alex Jones and his guests have no solution except to sit on your fat backside and be entertained and tell everyone how horrible it is, and above all, spread his links and buy his products.
I have never been an aficionado of the Constitution. The reason for it, it's outdated. It will go on to Pence. From Pence, it will go on to Ivanka or Jared Kushner. And we will remain a viable country and a great country. I have no fear.
accept what you say, Chief Rabbi, and yet it worries us here in Israel that we also see Putin supporting Assad in Syria and the Iranian regime, and we wonder how things actually work in reality. How can you support both sides of a conflict, and especially the situation in Syria, which is so tragic, and Russia has such a key role in the region. Do you see it as positive or a negative thing that he seems to be playing both sides?
So I'm not so well versed in everything that's going on in Syria. I know a few things that I can mention here. Number one, there's practically a daily briefing coming from Russia to Israel, Israel to Russia, about what's going on in Syria. But I do feel that he has Israel interests when he decides how to deal with Syria.
It will go on to Pence. From Pence, it will go on to Ivanka or Jared Kushner. And we will remain a viable country and a great country. I have no fear.
Putin is a political mad god walking amongst us.
Israel will coordinate their military forces over the situation in Syria. That agreement came out of today's meeting between President Putin and Prime Minister Netanyahu. Well, let's get the details from our correspondent Roman Kosarev. Roman, good to see you as always. Why have the two countries agreed to team up then on Syria now?
Putin's gonna kick some butt here. He's gonna kick Netanyahu butt, Israel butt. Watch this. Yeah, smash him. He's at the Holocaust Museum in Moscow. Oh, that's strange. Smash him though. Smash him. No. Yep. Soon. Oh no. Now he's gonna judo throw, Pooty. Come on, Pooty. No, Pooty's waiting at 666 degree chest. He's gonna any minute. Oh, he's gonna smash him with that chair. Judo throw. Bang. Elbow. Bang. Knee. Bang. No, he's an assassin, man. Come on. Soon. Oh, he's in Israel. Now he's really gonna kick ass. Oh boy, is he gonna kick so much ass. It's Avigdor Lieberman. Smash him. He betrayed. Smash him. Come on. Pooty, with your hypersonic penis. What about now? Very open, trusting atmosphere. Okay, what's going on here? Come on, Pooty. Smash, boom. Yucka, yok, bang. Come on. Any second. 666 degree chest. Yes, any minute. Our relationship with Israel is both friendly and mutually beneficial. 2000. Found this crap in my inbox from OConnell. I hate that guy. Everyone knows he's mentally ill. Believes the Telpiot program, which everyone knows, like Ryan Dawson told me, it doesn't exist. But anyway, what's this? Israel's former Soviet immigrants transform adopted country. What the hell's this? Sounds like propaganda to me. There's no way Russians would go to Israel. Russian-speaking Jews who have arrived over the past 20 years have integrated little but influenced everything from culture to politics. Huh? What the hell's this about? The million-plus citizens of the former Soviet Union who migrated to Israel in the past 20 years have not only made new lives of their own, but they have transformed their adopted country. They have influenced the culture, high-tech industry. What's that like? The Telpiot program? But everyone knows O'Connell's mentally ill and it doesn't exist. Isn't that right, Rai keeps me up to date. High-tech industry. Didn't they just land an F-35 right in the middle of like Tel Aviv and like Ben Gurion and like where all the Russian technicians are for Elbit systems? Oh, I'd wonder if that was a problem, but don't worry, that's not the narrative we want to hear. Remember, Putin rocks. They've transformed the Russian immigrants to Israel, the language, education, and perhaps most significantly, Israeli politics. Boy, it sounds like Russians are taking over Israel. We know that's impossible, and half of them, according to that article, don't even qualify as Jewish and don't even learn Hebrew. They all speak Russian and hang out with other Russians and basically run the country. But anyway, that sounds like propaganda crap to me. I don't believe any of that. Because we all know Putin's a god and he's gonna smash BB with his hypersonic penis. What's this next crap? What's this? Borscht Belt. Will Israel spurn America for Russia? Well, don't be ridiculous. I mean, it's not like they'd advertise that, would they? Borscht Belt's one of those online Jewish journals that keep saying this. It must be a fraud. Boy, they do look friendly there. What's this garbage? In the past, Israel has been similarly mum on Russian aggression. Oh boy, it sounds like they're all saying, hey, we look after each other and don't say bad things about each other when we're smashing Muslims. But I thought Putin loved Muslims. Anyway, what's this? Why has Israel declined to slap Russia? Because the Jewish state may someday need Russia as a powerful ally if relations with the US wither, something that's not an immediate risk but not necessarily unthinkable. What the hell? What's going on with this article? Boy, read that article. That's very interesting. Wow. Since the collapse of the Soviet Union, Israel has become home to more than 1 million Jews from Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, Georgia and 11 other states that were once part of the Soviet Union. This has created a climate of strong cultural and linguistic ties between Israel and the region, particularly Russia. Anyway, that's all rubbish because we all know Putin's got a hypersonic penis and he's defending the Syrians and the Muslims, and we all know Putin.
Well, I guess the point is made. That's just a couple of articles out of hundreds. Industry articles as well. Oil and gas ventures, nanotechnology, you name it. Please watch Israel's secret weapon, the Talpiot program, Israeli drones worldwide, and also is BB the most powerful man in the world for another list of articles and interesting information. There is no more debate. Vladimir Putin, Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump are all sons of the City of London. All are working together via the massive and powerful Israeli First, a political Zionist network worldwide. The fact that for 18 months a loose collective of people from varying ideological outlooks have been screaming about the obvious Putin-Netanyahu collusion with little result shows just how pathetic and compromised the so-called alt media really is. There is good money in repeating the line that Putin is some saviour god of the Middle East and a nationalist bulwark against internationalist Jewish power in the AIPAC-controlled United States government. Till then, check out this impressive list compiled by Joseph Davis and a bunch of people operating on Twitter. It is continuously being added to. There are literally hundreds of articles showing the massive collusion between Putin and Netanyahu, from oil and gas to medical nanotechnology to military technology. All stolen out of the United States under the Talpiot program, which I've gone into frequently in these two videos you must watch. There are also short excerpts you can watch taken from the main title, Israeli Drones Worldwide. Henry Macau recently linked to the list. Thanks, Henry. Henry is a little too conservative for my taste, but he has pumped out a continual quality product for 15 years that has not spared his fellow Jews or Israel. He is critical of Jews and non-Jews alike. He is also one of the few major players who will publicly look into Israel and Russia collusion, and has also supported me personally, even though we do disagree and argue. I mean, that's normal, it's healthy. Another Jew made good is Jeremy Rothschild, who recently made the Israeli media for his efforts to expose Israel and free speech issues. Read between the lines. Why is the Israeli media giving Jeremy airtime? Because they've had enough too and want to join the community of nations and not be embarrassed by Talmud supremacist lunatics and the Likudnik hardcores and their neocon associates in the US. This is not about playtime left-right politics. This is about ordinary people getting along without the constant interference of a Rothschild private intelligence network playing their grand chessboard games, making misery wherever they go in the name of real politic. They could just ask us and proffer up their grand ideas, but it doesn't look like that'll be happening anytime soon. You can catch Jeremy and Greg McCarran on their own YouTube channel, The Antidote. They also do Talpiot Talk with Joseph Davis and others most weeks. I'm sorry if my relationship with Jews offends anyone. Apparently it offends a few. That makes BB happy. Nothing worse than Jews and non-Jews getting together to expose Israel and Talmudic supremacist activities. Better we withdraw into our little online and offline ghettos and await the end. no one talking. As long as the online clown show of retarded alt-media personalities keeps spreading the baseless and ridiculous propaganda that Putin is in the Middle East to contain Israel and defend Iran and Syria, well, Greater Israel edges closer. Fact. Netanyahu runs Putin, Putin runs Assad, Assad runs Syria. Therefore, ergo sum, Netanyahu runs Syria. Capiche? Starting in June of 2014, Europe was flooded with Syrian refugees as the Israeli military intelligence-run ISIS lunatics were let loose. This was the plan espoused by Israeli Shin Bet Yisrael Hassoun, the emptying out of Syria. Who will be moving in, I wonder? He did this after Europe was less than enthusiastic about supporting Israel anymore. He did warn them. He said they'd have jihadis in their beds and their kindergartens. Saudi was funding a legitimate Sunni militia response to the activities of Shia militias and the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, increasingly spreading Iranian power in the Middle East. Then Israel stepped in with the ISIS icing on the cake. Apparently, according to the alt-media gurus, Saudi thought it would be a good idea to have IV meth-injecting lunatics posting videos of themselves beheading and making Syrian army personnel eat human flesh before they mass executed them. That's not Saudi, that's Israel. Apparently, the alt-media gurus also forgot that Syria is 87% Sunni and a tiny 7% minority Alawite Shia sect ruled over them with love and kisses. Does that sound right to you? Would close to 87% of Sunnis happily vote for a tiny sect of pretend Muslims in bed with Russia and Iran to rule over them? Do you think that? I mean, seriously, you actually think that? You believe that? Apparently, the alt-media gurus would have you believe the 2011 uprising was not the product of a fed-up Sunni majority being ruled over by a bunch of Soviet-trained, fingernail-pulling common thug socialist thieves. The walls have ears is a common saying in Syria. Ask what happened to you before the Troubles if you dare spoke out against the Assad Godfather crew. Go on, ask someone in the region. Ask them what would happen to you. Tell them you believe the Assad gang were God-fearing saints who respected the political and election process. You will be laughed at as a fool. They respected it as much as Saddam did, but Saddam was a river to his people. The Assad family were common thieves. One day you might ask simple questions like, how is it Putin, with total air supremacy, that's not superiority, that's total air supremacy, and laser-guided bombs and hypersonic missiles cannot defeat local Sunni militias armed with AKs and Toyota four-wheel drives? Are you capable of asking that question? This war was meant to be over 18 months ago. It's still going. Putin is not meant to end the Syrian war. He is meant to keep it ticking along in low-intensity warfare style, keeping everyone busy. Let Adam Curtis explain in his brilliant documentary Hypernormalization. Here, just 5 minutes worth. This should explain a lot to you.
But in Russia, there was a group of men who had seen how this very lack of belief in politics and dark uncertainty about the future could work to their advantage. What they had done was turn politics into a strange theatre, where nobody knew what was true or what was fake any longer. They were called political technologists, and they were the key figures behind President Putin. They had kept him in power, unchallenged, for 15 years. Some of them had been dissidents back in the 1970s. But then a technologist emerged who went much further, and his ideas would become central to Putin's grip on power. He was called Vladislav Surkov. Surkov came originally from the theatre world, and those who have studied his career say that what he did was take avant-garde ideas from the theatre and bring them into the heart of politics. Surkov's aim was not just to manipulate people, but to go deeper and play with and undermine their very perception of the world, so they are never sure what is really happening. Surkov turned Russian politics into a bewildering, constantly changing piece of theatre. He used Kremlin money to sponsor all kinds of groups, from mass anti-fascist youth organisations to the very opposite, neo-Nazi skinheads. And liberal human rights groups who then attacked the government. Surkov even backed whole political parties that were opposed to President Putin. But the key thing was that Surkov then let it be known that this was what he was doing, which meant that no one was sure what was real or what was fake in modern Russia. As one journalist put it, it's a strategy of power that keeps any opposition constantly confused, a ceaseless shape-shifting that is unstoppable because it is indefinable. Meanwhile, real power was elsewhere, hidden away behind the stage, exercised without anyone seeing it. Suddenly, the Russians intervened. President Putin sent hundreds of planes and combat troops to support Assad. But no one knew what their underlying aim was. They seemed to be using a strategy that Vladislav Surkov had developed in the Ukraine. He called it nonlinear warfare. It was a new kind of war, where you never know what the enemy are really up to.
Allahu Akbar.
The underlying aim, Surkov said, was not to win the war, but to use the conflict to create a constant state of destabilized perception in order to manage and control.
Allahu Akbar.
In March 2016, the Russians suddenly announced with a great fanfare that they were leaving Syria. And a concert was held in the ruins of Palmyra to celebrate the withdrawal. But in reality, the Russians never left. They are still there, and still no one knows what they really want.
Now, after all that, I guess you're starting to understand why you're confused. Well, you're meant to be confused. If you have two brain cells, work out the obvious, as Cambridge Analytica talking points are planted amongst the alt and mainstream media outlets, and they sing like the Vienna Boys Choir in perfect pitch and harmony. Russia, China, Iran are good. America, Israel and Saudi bad. One belt, one road. 750 billion in investment, and all the high tech is being provided by Israel, stolen out of the United States. The BRICS, lauded by the alt media, is also led by Israel. Huh, fancy that. But the alt media are so retarded they just don't get it, or they choose, as per donations and view scores, to ignore it.
But he gets to insert certain things that become part of the counter-narrative as well, like, oh, well, China, they don't go out and militarily invade other countries. They're the good side of the New World Order. And so I think that's another thing that we and the alternative media really have to be careful about, is what counter-narratives are we propagating, and are they truly counter to the system that is being established? Are they truly counter to the mega-billionaire financial elite interests that are puppeteering this butting of heads of the capitalist and socialist system?
In time, you'll soon work out just how infiltrated and controlled the alt media really, really, really are. It's not an accident. The alt media gurus, with their far greater access to resources and far more freedom to speak than I have, a man literally on the run in a country with close ties to China, who's coming under enormous pressure from Israel to buckle under. Malaysia, a country that has fought tooth and nail against Israel and its dominance in the Middle East and elsewhere. I don't have the resources, and I don't have, to be honest, a safe place to do it from. So where are these alt media gurus? Where are they? Why are they so silent? Why aren't you demanding they move forward and tell the damn truth? Israel is leading the high technology sector and move to smart cities, or what they should be known as, smart gulags, with your own rabbinic golem robot to watch over you. With artificial intelligence, you can talk to your robot all day about your problems and your worries and your loneliness. He'll respond like this scene from the movie Passengers.
What can I get for you? What? You look like a whiskey man. Okay. Oh, you're a robot. Android, technically. Trick of the trade. Makes people nervous when a bartender just stands there.
So lay some bartender wisdom on me. I'm lost in space here.
You're not where you want to be. You feel like you're supposed to be somewhere else. You said it. Well, say you could snap your fingers and be wherever you wanted to be. I bet you'd still feel this way. Not in the right place. Point is, you can't get so hung up on where you'd rather be that you forget how to make the most of where you are.
What are you telling me?
Take a break from worrying about what you can't control. Live a little.
Feel comfy now? Feel all warm? And in your beautiful smart city where you'll be followed and traced and tracked till death, you'll be vaccinated forcibly and you'll be childless and you will die alone. If our masters are feeling kind, they'll let us live to a ripe old age, living our degenerate decadence, having sex with goats, animals, man, woman, whatever. They're so sick, we'll be allowed absolutely anything as long as we shut up, enjoy ourselves, don't breed, and just die quietly. A good movie to follow that up on is Logan's Run.
Just imagine a world where you will hold your entire future in the palm of your hand, when a tiny glowing crystal will guide you through an existence in which each day is more wonderful than the last, where it will be possible for you to obtain the fulfillment of every fantasy, the satisfaction of every vanity, the absolute attainment of every wish.
Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer presents the Saul David production of Logan's Run. A fantastic journey through a world beyond imagination. Welcome to the 23rd century. The perfect world of total pleasure. Imagine a world in which you need never be alone. You touch a switch, turn a dial, and the perfect lover steps into your arms. Every pleasure is yours to experience.
Runner! There's just one catch.
When the tiny crystal in the palm of your hand flashes its final message, your time is up. Michael York is Logan.
Run, Logan!
Policeman in a perfect world.
No!
Trained to track down runners.
Run, Logan!
Until he is forced to run himself.
seen a face like that before. That must be the look of being old.
MGM takes you into a new age of adventure in the first motion picture of the 23rd century. Logan's Run. It begins where imagination ends.
That's an interesting movie. It was meant to be remade 7 times. They never did it. Now, if you know the old movie, you know it's a great remake, but they never do it because that's our future. So start demanding from your alt media gurus no more silence. Recently, someone contacted me and said that David Icke, the lizard man, had mentioned it, but now the link had disappeared. If I were to tell you what the last 10 years have been like, you wouldn't believe me. I'm telling you, it's a movie. It's a literal movie. So let's stop with the garbage. The Assad family were not nice social democrats. They were fingernail-pulling assholes. All right, that's not even a secret. But it keeps getting perpetuated by the alt media. Putin is not the saviour of the Middle East. He's clearly working closely with Netanyahu. I mean, it's so obvious. Joseph Davis, John Swin, Jeremy and Greg from The Antidote, Jalil, a whole host of people twittering away have collected all these links for you, and it's sitting right in front of you. Choose to use it or don't choose to. But ask the question, where are your alt media gurus on this important information? Why won't they talk about the Belt and Road Initiative, China and Russia's close relationship with Israel, and above all, China and Russia's now newfound place in the world as the official enemies of the United States? And there's Israel bragging about how it's supplying them with high technology, which we know was stolen out of the United States. It's time to stop. It's time to put the boot up the backside of your local alt media guru. I'm sick of taking the lead and being the, quote, tip of the spear. I have been hounded and harassed for over 9 years. I've been honest about my own behaviour, and it's time you, again, quote, put your boot up the ass of your alt media guru. Anyway, thanks. Remember, no matter what the evidence,
Putin's a rock star, Rouhani's fantastic, America sucks.
You know the narrative. The alt media narrative, which is really a mainstream media, US Central Command, Special Operations Command, Israeli military intelligence, psychological warfare operation operating in your alt media guru of choice. Whether consciously or unconsciously, who cares? That's what's going on. Anyway, I gotta survive. I gotta keep cracking along, doing what I can while I can. Hoda Hafez, ciao for now, Jumpalagi, Jumpananti. Speak soon.
The underlying aim, Surkov said, was not to win the war, but to use the conflict to create a constant state of destabilized perception in order to manage and control.
I have never been an aficionado of the Constitution. The reason for it, it's outdated. And what's happening now is we're coming into a new realism, a hyper-realism.
They're using this against Trump.
They're using it however it benefits them.
Well, but I mean, the establishment, the main attack is against Trump.
Mm-hmm. Sure. If it benefits them to attack Trump, they will attack Trump. If it benefits them to use Trump to hurt their enemies, they will use Trump to hurt their enemies. It has nothing to do with politics.
It's all very sociopathic.
It's nothing to do with politics. It's all about power and profit. People got to get the politics out of their mind with this. Once you can accept that, it starts making sense.